Hi, my name is Berthney Pierre, and this is my first semester here at Liberty University. I am in the program of Family Advocacy and Public Policy. This video is in representation of my interpersonal communication project with my interpersonal communication course that I took this semester. Let's go ahead and get started. So, as we engage in this conversation in regards to interpersonal communication, I would like to start off with just helping everyone understand my lifelong goals. I came up with the idea that I wanted to dedicate all that I do as a human service professional in serving in God's purpose for my life. In order to do so, I felt that it was important to understand the purpose that God has intended for me. And as I understand that, I'm able to use those skills that I've learned and put them in best practice in serving the families in the community that I work in. As we move on to understanding a little bit more about interpersonal communication versus impersonal communication, it's important that we are able to define the two. So as we start off with impersonal communication, can best be described as communication between individuals that the communicator does not have a personal connection with. For instance, the mailman or a server or an individual that you met at the grocery store. These are all individuals that you don't necessarily have a personal connection with, but you communicate with them on an impersonal level. Whereas interpersonal communication would be presented with individuals that you are extremely close to, that you have a significant bond with, that you relate to very well. These individuals could be, for instance, like your mother, a family member, a co-worker. It could be a friend. So these are all individuals that you would more likely engage in more of an interpersonal communication conversation with. So just a little bit of background about me. I am the oldest of three, and I'm the only girl. My parents spent a good period as I was growing up just helping me understand that I was going to be held accountable for a lot of my siblings, and just helping me become even more of a leader at a very young age. And I have seen that as extremely influencing who I've become today. Hence why some of the information that I received from the Uniquely You assessment that we took earlier in this course, I was able to kind of see where some of that, some of those descriptions of who I was, some of the traits that were presented, they stemmed a lot from my upbringing. So I found out that I am a steady doer and a steady influencer. All the things that I would have to 100% agree with. I know there's a lot of things about me that is very pretty much steady, and I'm a go-getter. I do a lot of things that are just, I need to get the job done. And then I also have been known to be an influencer when just communicating with peers and colleagues and friends. And so that's one of the areas that I'm very much aware that I do have. So as we move on into more detail information about my behavioral blend, some of the traits that I noticed immediately when I read my assessment, the response from my assessment, were that I'm a people pleaser. I'm very passionate in what I do. I can be controlling. I sometimes can be a follower, and I am sensitive and understanding, and I'm a peacemaker. A lot of these traits come from just a big part of me that just wants to serve a huge impact. And in order to do that, I feel that, you want to be able to please people. You want to be able to make everyone happy. But at the same time, you want to be able to advocate and show that, you stand for what's right, and you're sensitive to issues that are going on in the community, issues that families are facing. So I, once again, completely agree with my personality blends, and some of the information that I even learned a little bit more about myself through the Uniquely You assessment. As we move forward with some of the barriers that I would say that I noticed in my communication would have to be my active listening skills, the ability to inhale information, and the ability to exhale appropriately. So to be more specific in regards to active listening, there's a big difference on how we listen. And I had no clue, but there is a whole list of ways that we can listen as individuals. Active listening is a listener who is paying close attention to the words and the emotion behind what is being communicated. So it's also retaining a lot of the key points in the conversation. And another key point is that as of the first step is to realize that effective listening is active and not passive process. A lot of us go into conversations where we're communicating with people and we're thinking, oh wow, I'm having this conversation with you, I'm really engaged, but not really realizing that some of the information that you are hearing, you may have heard in the conversation, is you're not retaining any of it, and you're actually just kind of just going with the flow. It's going in one ear and out the other, and that's kind of how I think of when someone's being passive in their listening. So it's a big deal to be an active listener and spending more time hearing the individual speak rather than ignoring a lot of the information that's being presented. As we move on to inhaling, this is a key piece in the process of communication. A lot of miscommunication happens in this space right here, where we are listening to individuals speak and we are processing it as quick as possible, like I do on a daily basis when I'm communicating. We process it in our heads without even realizing that some of the things that we're thinking and perceiving is actually not the facts. And I think that that's an essential, vital piece in how miscommunication happens so very often. So I would say that, at times we want to hear what we want to hear by using the process called selecting. So we are selective listeners. And sometimes I even see myself as being using the process of inferring to create my own interpretation rather than sticking to the actual hard facts of the conversation.